All right, Khan Academy Algebra, systems of equations with elimination. So the last two sections we've been building up the skills with strategies and then combining equations to actually solve one of these. So now we're going to kind of put it all together and we're going to tackle the elimination problems. So let's get started. I'm going to switch to a little bit bigger screen. It'll make life a little bit easier with the same problem on there. All right, so first thing is strategy-wise, I look at it. My goal for elimination is I'm looking at the coefficients or the numbers in front of the x's, and I'm looking for the numbers in front of the y's. And what I'm hoping to achieve is I'd love to get those coefficients to be opposites of each other. And I see this right away. I notice that I have a negative 12x and a positive 12x, which is perfect because now when I add these two equations, I combine them through addition. My x's are going to disappear. And I'm simply going to end up with negative 16y equals 128. And so now I'm going to solve that by dividing both sides by negative 16. Divide by negative 16. And that goes in there, what do we got? 8 times negative. So now I have a solution of y equals negative 8. That's my first variable. Now it's kind of my choice. I can plug that negative 8 into either equation I want, whether I want to put it in the bottom or whether I want to put it in the top. It's kind of dealer's choice. I'll go ahead and I'll just put it to the top. I got a little bit more room over here. So negative 12x minus 5y equals 40. But instead of the y, I'm actually going to put a negative 8 in there. So I'm going to substitute the negative 8 that I found down below. And now we have one equation with one unknown. We should be able to get after it. So I have negative 12x added to 40 equals 40. Now this is going to be kind of weird. So subtract 40 from both sides. And I wind up with a 0 on this side. So negative 12 times what is 0? I know the answer is 0, but officially I'm supposed to divide both sides by a negative 12. And I get x equals 0. So pretty confident. I think that's the right answer. So 0 for x, negative 8 for y. I could plug it in and check if I wanted to, kind of just make sure. But I have 0 and negative 8. Another thing you could do, if you've ever used Desmos, you could use Desmos. It's a graphing website with a free graphing calculator on it. It's D-E-S-M-O-S. And you could go on Desmos and you could type in both of those lines and verify that the intersection of the two lines occurs at 0, negative 8. That'd be another way to test this out. I'm just going to roll the dice. I'm going to go over here to Khan Academy and I'm going to click 0 and 8. We'll see what shakes out. 0, negative 8, and hopefully I get the little bell. Boom. Beautiful. All right, I want to take a look at one other one that they throw at you. Just to kind of be careful on because I've made a mistake on ones like these. So I look at the coefficients and I see my y's aren't opposites, but my x's are. So that's where I'm going to focus. I have a negative 4 and a positive 4. So I'm going to add these together and I get 7y. My x's are going to disappear and I'm going to get 7. And then see, divide both sides by 7 and you get y equals 1. So then when I plug the 1 back in, and maybe I'll plug it back into maybe this top equation right here. Actually, it's got negatives in it. Why don't we put it into the bottom one? Might be a little bit easier. So 2 times 1 added to 4x equals 14. And I get 2 plus 4x equals 14. Subtract 2 from both sides, and I get 12. Divide both sides by 4. And we get x equals 3. The only thing I wanted to point out, this was a little bit different than the last question, simply because if you notice the y's are in front and the x's are in the back. Occasionally, I haven't seen this on Khan Academy, but occasionally you will see problems where maybe they'll give you something like that, and then they'll do something like this, and you may not even notice it, but I did something kind of weird here. My x's don't line up and my y's don't line up. So occasionally you may have to go in, like on an SAT test, and you may have to rearrange and repackage these two terms and kind of switch them around so that everything is lined up before you get started. Otherwise, your whole idea about lining up coefficients is going to kind of fall apart.